We just spent the past 50 minutes using Antigravity and Claude Code to create a media buyer that automatically created these ads within my Meta ad account that I can go ahead and deploy straight away. In this video, I'll be showing you how you can use Claude Code and Antigravity to automate different things within your fulfillment process. We'll be going over a live build where we're actually going to create a media buyer for your agency that has direct access to your ad account and can do different things like create different campaigns, create ad sets, create individual ads, and actually overview the data that within your ad account. I'll be showing you the whole thing from scratch. This is a very raw video where I'll be literally building this out together to give you an idea of the different possibilities of what you can do nowadays using AI. Let's get straight into it. All right, guys. So I think Leo from the future explained everything for you guys. We're basically going to be using Claude Code in this video to build a media buyer. It will give you an example of how you can use these different AI models to build different tools in your agency to make your life a bit easier. And it's not necessarily about firing different people in your agency. It's basically about increasing the output for the given input so you can take on more clients live and to hire more people, basically. So the first thing we're going to do is actually set up Antigravity. Now, Antigravity is basically going to be our coding environment in this case. There's a couple of different examples of what you can actually use. In this case, we're using Antigravity just because it's a new kid on the block. And I do think it's the future of these different IDEs, which is basically just coding environments we can actually run this. I really don't hope this intimidates you at all. Like, this is very simple stuff, and with the use of AI, you really won't be able to have to code at all. So don't worry about this if you have no coding experience. I barely have any coding experience, and I'm still able to use these to create actual systems for our clients. So in this case, we're going to be installing Antigravity. Depending on whether you're a Windows or Mac, all you need to do is download it for Windows. And then obviously, apart from that, you're good to go. The next thing we're going to need is actually Claude, more specifically Claude Code. So in this case, you're just going to search for Claude. You basically just want to go ahead and just create an account. It'll cost you about 20 bucks a month. In this case, it's not free, especially for Claude Code. You do need a paid plan for this. It's honestly super simple. Once you've signed up, just click this code button on the left-hand side over here. It will take you over to Claude Code. All you need to do is copy this, open up your terminal, which if you're on Windows, all you need to literally search for is terminal, just like that. We'll go ahead and open it up. You enter this within Claude, you press enter, and it will automatically install within for you. Now, once you've actually installed that, you can run it straight from the terminal, but in this case, we installed Antigravity, which is basically where we're going to be running all these different things. So we're going to build it straight on here. So in this case now, I'm going to go and open up Antigravity within my instance, and we're going to show you a bit more structure in terms of how that works. All right, so in this case, I've now within Antigravity, this is kind of what it looks like on the left-hand side over here. Now, the first thing you want to do within Antigravity before you do anything else is just get this Claude Code extension, because obviously Antigravity is a product from Google. So it's going to default to basically having you use Gemini, which you can use, but Claude Code will be a lot better, at least for now, at the time of me recording this video. Might change depending on when you're watching this. But in this case, we're going to be using Claude Code. This video is about Claude Code. So in this case, I'm going to go over to the left-hand side over here. I'm going to go to extensions. I'm going to search for Claude Code, and you're just basically going to install it. You already have it. It'll guide you through how to do it. And that's honestly pretty much it. Once you've installed it, you're going to open up this little icon here, which is going to look like Claude Code. And now you basically have your Claude Code within here. Now, you can also use it within the terminal itself, but honestly, I like to use it straight within the chatbot. It's a bit more interface friendly. And in this video, we're going to be using it here because it's just the simplest way to use it. But if you did want to use the terminal, then you can open this up. You can launch your terminal. You can just say Claude. And now you will have your Claude bot within your terminal, which you can actually launch. Obviously, different safety folders, which I'm going to go over in a second. But in this case, I do trust this folder. And now we have our Claude bot straight over here. We're not going to be using this. We're going to be using it directly. Now, the way this basically works within Antigravity when you're building out these different things is that everything exists within folders. So within my computer, I've got basically this Antigravity master folder, which you guys probably can't see right now because it's got some of my client stuff. But I'm just going to quickly go ahead and create a new folder, which I'm going to be called YouTube. And this is going to be our new folder we're going to be using for the future. So as you can see over here, but we have this new Antigravity master folder where all my different projects exist. And in this case, I've created a new folder, which is going to be YouTube. Now, in this folder, I'm going to create a new folder, which is going to be called my media buyer. And this is basically where everything is going to be living on today. Within Claude, it's basically going to create different files within this folder, which is what is going to allow the system to actually run. So in this case, I've got an old example open. I think this is one of my content researchers. I'm just going to go to File in the top left-hand side. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to go over to Open Folder. And you can't see this because it's blurred. And we're just going to go ahead and open YouTube, which is the folder we want. And now you can see we have a clean slate, right? We have my folder over here on the left hand side, and in this case our Claude Code has disappeared, so let's actually go ahead and bring it back. So I'm going to go over to extensions, I'm going to go Claude Code, I'm just going to press the Claude button, and now our fabulous Claude Code is back. So How does this actually work? The way this IDE works, or this like coding environment, like, don't get too confused by the name, it doesn't matter. We have a different folders on the left hand side where all the different projects will exist. And as this agent builds out different items, everything will exist within this folder over here. Everything will live within that folder. When we deploy it, we're going to be deploying that specific folder, which I don't think we're going to be doing this video, but we'll see how it goes. On the right hand side, yes, we have our chatbot, which is where we're going to be chatting. We're not going to be touching any code, guys. I want to really emphasize that. Like throughout this whole video, and I probably should emphasize this a bit earlier, but we're not touching any code here, guys. The AI is going to be doing all of it for us. And at the end of the video, I'll also show you can get access directly to the file. But honestly, like the whole point of this video is to show you different possibilities of what you can actually do with this. So I'd actually recommend building it out in this case. I mean, obviously, feel free to give me your email so you can have access to the file. But in this case, I'd actually encourage you to build out for yourself because you learn a bit more from this. And I probably will move myself. In this case, on the left-hand side, we have different folders, which everything will live inside. And we have our Claude Code, which is what we're going to be prompting different things that are actually happening. So what we actually want to create here is a basic media buyer. Now, in this example, the media buyer is going to live within the actual terminal. I don't actually want to deploy it to anything. Maybe we can talk about how to actually do it towards the end. But I basically want to create a media buyer that will allow me to make it easier for me to create campaigns in my Meta account, will make it easier for me to create ads, to bulk create ads, for example, to manage ads. So that's basically the instructions I'm going to give to Claude. This agent right here is going to live within my terminal or within Antigravity, wherever else it may be. I don't necessarily need an interface for it. And it's basically, I'm going to ask it to build up for me. And obviously, there are going to be some different things I need to do to actually connect Meta, but it should guide me through this. I have done this before for a client, so I have an idea of what this is. But the whole idea of this video is that I'm going to show you exactly what Claude tells me to do. And I'm not going to be adding my own input to this. And hopefully it'll give you some inspiration of how you can actually build these different things for your agency. And I think more agency owners should be using this to build different tools for their team members to give their clients a better experience. So, I mean, let's get straight into it. Let's go into the first prompt. Enough talking. What I'm going to do here is basically talk to it a bit more. I'm going to use a voice dictation tool called Whistler to actually just talk into it so I don't have to write out the prompt. And we're going to give it a bit more insight into what I'm actually trying to build. So I want you to build me a terminal-based AI agent that will allow me to control my Meta ads account to manage ads for my agency. This should be called Media Buyer. That's to be the name. The agent is basically going to be using the Claude Opus, the Anthropic SDK with tool calling. And the whole idea of this is that you're going to have different skills within this folder structure that will allow you to basically manage different ads within Meta Ads Manager. You should be able to create campaigns. You should be able to create individual ads. You should be able to pull data from ads. You should be able to see what ads I'm running. And the whole idea of this is I can use it to actually build campaigns within my actual ad account in Meta. Based on this information, make a plan for me on how you're actually going to do this. It should be a terminal-based experience, so you don't have to focus too much on any UI. Focus more so on the skills that you're going to build for yourself within the folder structure, media buyer, and get understanding of what's actually happening behind the scenes. So guys, that's my simple prompt. And honestly, like I wouldn't even copy this prompt. I mean, there's so many different better prompts you can do for this. I basically getting a bit more instructions as to what's actually behind the scenes, what I'm actually asking it to create. And in this case, now I'm going to switch it over to mode. If you don't know, Claude has different modes. We have a plan mode, we have an ask for edit mode, and we have an edit automatically. In this case, all I want to do is plan. So I'm going to go over to plan mode. I'm going to press send, and now it's going to go ahead and do stuff. Now, hopefully this video don't run out of credits, but in most cases, I've rarely ever run out of credits. I've got the max plan, right? So you don't have to worry about that stuff. But even on the $20 plan, when I had it for a while, we didn't really run out of credits. And I think actually this is my YouTube account, so I should have actually have the medium plan. So you guys will see kind of that works behind the scenes. Now it's basically just checking my directory files. So what this actually looks like behind the scenes is basically checking if there's any other files within the folder they can actually access. And I'm just gonna let it do this thing for a while. I will maybe talk over it if it kind of talks over different things. So in this case, it's asking me to run this query. I'm gonna say yes, you can go ahead and do it. In this case, it might be referring to a different file. But actually, no, I don't think it is. I'm just gonna allow it to do different queries. I think this is doing queries on the internet. It's basically just doing some web searches, which is fine. I'm fine with. And then after that, once it's done all the different searches, it should be able to actually access it. I got confused by that, guys. Sorry, because obviously I've built this up for different clients. I want this to kind of be a clean slate. I don't want this to actually have a look at all the different things that are happening behind the scenes. Now, obviously, guys, this is probably important to say. Like when we're doing this, there's not immense amount of security. So you do have to be a bit switched on as to what's happening. I wouldn't worry about it too much, especially for internal tools, but you do need to have some sort of idea as to what's happening behind the scenes. And at least, for example, even just check the code base or have a separate agent actually check the code base, because if you don't, it will make life a bit easier for you and you are prone to attacks in this case, especially when we're giving them different fields, AIs and different things like that. So right now, it's basically having a look at the different queries. A cool thing about this as well, if I wanted to, I could actually have two of them running at the same time. So if I just start paste the exact same prompt here, I can have two different plan modes, so I can have two different plans. I can also change different modes. If I go to slash, I can change to fast mode. I can switch the model. Fast mode takes a lot of credits, so I wouldn't recommend using it, but it's really fast. I can also connect different things, agents. But again, for now, I'm going to use it. I'm just letting it do its queries. And after this, I'll basically come back to when the plan is ready and we'll begin executing it. This is like the bottom of the barrel kind of stuff. Like I will just let it do its thing. There are obviously different improvements it's going to make. We obviously could have improved the prompt. We obviously could have make it much more structured, but I just want to give you like the raw version of this so you get inspiration to do this in your own agency to build different tools such as a media buyer, maybe a video editor, because it's a really cool tool. So let's let it run and then we'll come back when the plan is ready. All right, so it looks like it's actually gone ahead and actually created a plan for us. So let's have a quick overview of the plan to make sure it's on the right page, and then we'll go ahead and actually launch it. And then on the back end, we'll probably have to do a couple different API stuff to actually give it access to my Meta account. So in this case, we're building a green file terminal-based AI which controls Meta accounts via the marketing API. The user media buyer types natural language request. Claude opens resins with what to fire, and Python executes them against the real Meta API. We have our architecture. This is basically a file structure, guys. If you think about this, like this is a folder, the main folder we have over here. This is going to be a subfolder with the agent, and this is going to be another subfolder with all the different skills that he has. Tools, Claude will have get accounts info, create ad set, update ad set, all that stuff. Key files, configuration, environment, which we're storing our API keys, our skills base, invalid credentials needed. It's basically what we're going to have to get using Meta and some different API keys. I'll show you guys how to actually do that. We have our requirements, we have our safety defaults, implementation order, and all that stuff. So I think all this is good. I don't see any problems with this. So what I'm going to do is actually just yes and auto accept. And now it's basically going to start building. Now, I am going to leave this going on behind the scenes, and then after we'll have, and as you're going to see on the left hand side, it's going to basically begin building folders, building files, whatever else it may be, as it works behind the scenes and kind of goes through its checklist. And at the very end of it, it's basically going to tell me, hey, this is what you need to do. And when that happens, that's what we're going to actually jump in, sell the API key. Hopefully, within the next 10 or 15 minutes or so, we'll be able to launch this. So let's see what happens. As you can see on the left hand side, it's starting to create new folders. We have new folders within our original folder with different Python files. And this is basically what's actually going to be allowing us to actually run. So we're going to let this do its thing for a while. I'll leave it on so you guys can see I'm doing something on the other screen. And when it's done, we're going to come back, configure the API, test it, debug it, because I'm sure some things are not going to work, and then set up. But again, the whole idea of this is just to have a raw version, which you guys can just copy from me directly, and hopefully give you some information of different ways that you can use the different AI tools to actually do different things for you in your agency. Let's let it run for a bit, and then after we'll go ahead and debug it, check it, and actually give it access to my Meta account, which is scary, but don't worry. If you do the safe way, you don't have to worry about too much stuff. So it looks like it's actually built everything out for us. As you can see here, a bunch more files in the actual code base. Now it's basically going to give me an overview of what's actually done. And then we're going to talk about how we can actually, what we actually need to do, sorry, to connect this within that Meta account to actually give it access to different things. So in this case, for example, you can see it's already gone ahead and given me instructions to where to access different things. All I'm going to ask it to do now is give me specific instructions as to what I need to do to give you the API keys and also create the env file for me. So in this case, it will just literally give me a step-by-step instructions of what I actually need to do. I do know how to do this. I've done it before, but just for the purpose of the video, I want to show you guys how easy it is to actually do this and the instructions basically going to give you. So in this case, now we have our environmental file. This is basically where we're going to be storing all the different API keys from this video. In this case, I don't think I'm actually going to get my editor to blur any of this. I think I will just add them in for you guys. I just need to remember to actually delete them. But hopefully, if you're watching this, you have good intentions and you're not after my API keys. But I'll delete them anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But as you can see now, we have a step-by-step instructions on how to actually get my different data. So let's start off and actually filling this out, because once we put this in, now we'll basically be able to begin testing and actually giving this guy some access. So let's go over and let's actually begin doing this. The first thing we need is our Anthropic API key. Now, this doesn't actually have to be Anthropic, and in this case, to be honest, we're not actually using Anthropic API key in this case because we're going to be running this directly through the terminal. But whatever, we'll still get it just for the purpose of this video to show you how to actually do this. So I'm going to go over to Claude tab. I'm going to search for Anthropic API. Within Anthropic API, I'm just going to sign in. Again, I already have an account. I think once you sign up, you have to just add like $5 in credits or whatever else it may be. I'm going to go get an API key. You can see a couple different API keys that were set up in the past. These, I think this is my YouTube channel. I'm 100% sure, but maybe it is. I don't know. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go and actually create a new key, and I'm going to name this my YouTube media buyer. And now we're going to have this beautiful API key, which you guys are now going to try steal. But again, I'm going to delete it after, so it doesn't really matter. And now I'm going to go back to my anti-gravity. I'm going to go over to Anthropic API key, and I'm just going to paste it in just like that. Simple as that. The next step is we want to meta credentials. So ad account ID is probably the easiest thing we can do. I'm literally just going to open up Ads Manager, and I think we actually are running some campaigns now. So this will be actually interesting to see what we have going on behind the scenes. But within my Ads Manager, I'm just going to get my account ID, which I can get from the URL over here. Hopefully you guys can see that. There you can. Over here we have our account ID, and again I'm going to go back to Antigravity, and for the meta account ID, I'm just going to go ahead and paste it in. So those two are the easiest ones. Now it's going to get a bit more complicated because we actually need to create a meta app to actually give it access to our different services. So let's go ahead and actually do that. And we're just going to follow the instructions. In this case, it's telling me to go to developers.facebook.com/apps. Now I think I already have an account because I've done this before, but we'll see. We'll try guide you through the startup process. So in this case, I'm already logged in. All you would have to do is just log into the developer, make an account. It's super, super simple. We're going to go ahead and actually start from scratch. So we're going to create a new app. Within this new app, we're going to call it the YouTube media buyer. We're going to have the same app contact email as my one. Let me zoom in for you guys so you can actually see this. Now, in this case, what we actually want the permissions of is we wanted to be able to create and manage ads with the marketing API. This is literally what we're looking for. So that's pretty much it. And this is basically a bundle which will have include different access. We don't care about the rest of the stuff, so we're good for now. And which business portfolio do you want to connect? I'm going to collect my business portfolio, which is Fluxomate. You would basically connect yours. Publishing steps, we're all good for this one. And I think we're all good to actually create an app. So now once the app is created, I'm going to go add my password. All right, so I've just gone ahead and actually entered my password. I need two-factor authentication because I think I'm connecting this to my business portfolio. So I'm going to go to Authenticator on my phone. Unfortunately, this is the part that you guys cannot see. And I'm just going to add in my authenticator code. And after that, hopefully we should be good to connect this to our account. And then we'll go back to Antigravity and see kind of the next steps. All right, so our app is now created. We have our YouTube media buyer. Now we're basically going to go ahead and actually set it up. So let's go back to Antigravity for a second to see what it actually wants us to do. So we created an app. We're going to select other, business, give it a name. We're going to go to app dashboard settings basic. I want to copy the app ID. Let's go ahead and do that first. So within our app dashboard, we're going to go to settings. And in this case, we were looking for our ID. So maybe let's go to dashboard. But to be honest, I can get the app ID from a URL because I know this is the app ID. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually copy that. I'm going to go back to Antigravity workspace and I'm going to go over to app ID and paste it. Now we need to get the meta app secret and the access token, which is a bit more complicated. So we've tested use cases, we're checking our requirements are met, and then we're just going to basically publish the app quickly. Now, obviously, guys, be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to just publish something and just give it access to all your different meta ad accounts. Just be mindful. The reason I'm being a bit more careless is because I've already done this before, so I have a rough idea of how this works. But in this case, I think we're all good for this stuff. We don't have to add any webhooks and different things like that. For permissions, the rare thing is ads management, which it already has access to, which is all good. I think we already have the bundle, so we're all good in that case. And we don't have to add any webhooks or anything like that. So as you can see here, we have the app ID over here, which I already copied from the URL. Oh, sorry, this is my business ID. The app ID is actually the correct one. And I think we're good to go. So let's quickly publish this. And then we're basically going to add a system user account, which I believe we'll need in this case. And we'll go and actually publish it. So let's add a quick privacy URL. I'm just going to add my website in this. So once we have that and we've published the app, now basically we're going to go over to app settings. We're going to go over to basic and we're going to go actually get that app secret over here. I'll show this to you guys. I'm going to delete this after. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to go back to Antigravity. Within the app secret, I'm going to go ahead and actually paste it in. So now the only thing we need is our meta access token. We have our app ID. We have our account ID, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and actually find out how to get that according to the instructions. So in terms of the generate your access token, we need to go to developers.com/Facebook/explorer. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to go ahead and actually paste it in here. So we have a side-by-side breakdown. I'm just going to open this in two different tabs. And over here, we're basically going to get access token. So my meta app in this case is the Fluxomate media buyer. I'm going to go for get access token. Which one does it want? Let's double check. We want generate access token. So it won't be a user access token. It will be the app token, or maybe we go user. Probably wants permission. So I think we need app permissions. So events group, we want ads management and we want ads read. And I think after that, we should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and press generate access token. It's going to ask for my confirmation, probably ask me to sign in, continue as Leo Fluxomate. And now I've got my access token. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it in here. And hopefully we should be good to go. So now that I've basically set all of that up, we're good to go. I'm just going to say environmental variables have been added to the M file, test the system and see if you can access the ads. Now, I think there's going to be a bug here. And the reason I say that is because I believe this is different to when I initially set it up. So now it's going to read everything that's going on and it's going to tell me that all the credentials are there, and now it's going to do a quick test to see what's actually going on behind the scenes. So this is just basically a command that's running what's happening behind the scenes to test it. It looks like it got a warning for this. It looks like the old one is deprecated. So now we're going to find out what's actually happening. And what should happen, it should basically debug itself. It's going to be a lot of debugging here, guys. The good thing about AI, it's not necessarily like a make.com workflow or like an NTN workflow when you kind of have to debug it yourself. Debug itself, fix it. If you open up, you can actually see what it's thinking about. So right now, there's basically an invalid API call, probably because it was outdated. So we'll see what happens now, and we'll let it run for a second, and then basically tell us what we need to do. It might be, for example, we didn't add the right environmental variables. We didn't get the right token. So I don't know. We'll see. All right. So we have another command here. Let's see what's going on. It's testing the Meta API. Remote read is being detected. All right. So it looks like we're doing another test right now. It managed to figure out the issue. It updated the code. And now it's basically doing an end-to-end test, calling it with a real prompt. So I think the prompt was something along the lines of, hey, get me all my different campaigns. And it seems to be an error. So as you can see here, actually, this is real data. So I'm actually going to open my Facebook ad accounts for a second to show you guys here. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go over to my ads manager. And if we go over to campaigns, as you can tell, guys, I am not a marketer. So if you're a marketing agency and you want to give me some tips, then feel free to throw it in. But in terms of maximum data, if we add all of this up, it should total up to about 3K in this ad account. And if you go back to anti-gravity, you can see it's been able to read that data, as you can see here. So what we're going to say now is we're going to ask it to actually create a campaign. So it's actually telling me to update my Anthropic to add some credits. I don't think we will need it, but let's see. I'm going to say here to create an example campaign called testing YouTube. And over here, it probably will ask me some questions as to like what campaign I'm trying to create and different things like that. So it's going to call the API. It looks like there was an error. And now the whole beauty of this is that I don't have to correct it. It will just basically correct itself when it's browsables. So it's going to update its skills and then it's going to call it. And then hopefully what we should see is a campaign being created in my ads manager. And then we'll probably create an ad set. I'll show you how you can actually create an ad. And then I'll show you also what that 51% thing over here means and what you can actually do. Guys, the cool thing about this is that if you want to do this, you can have two of them running at the same time. So for example, if I open up another Claude Code instance, I can now ask it to test and edit different things at the same time. Now, obviously, it will consume more credits. You won't have to worry about that. So it looks like the campaign's been created. If we are into Meta, and we're going to reload this, let's see what's actually going on behind the scenes. It looks like, as you can see here, the campaign's actually been created, which is pretty. Now, if we open up this side, I don't think there's anything loading up behind here. There's no ad sets or anything like that. So I'm going to ask it to basically create an ad set. And I'm also going to ask it to create an ad. So I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to say, within this new campaign you created, create an ad. Ask me the different questions you need to know in terms of settings and what you want to target it for. So you should create two different ad sets. Within those ad sets, there should be the same ad running. I want you to generate the primary copy based on what you know about Fluxomate and what we do, and also generate the headline text, all the different copy that you may need. With the file that you want to add is a file I'm going to attach here. And then from that, I want you to create ad sets in a specific campaign and also create ads. All right, guys, so this is my prompt. And the only thing I need to do here is I just give it my creative. So in this case, I'm just going to pick one of the actual creatives that we have running. So if I go to downloads, I'll go for this creative, which is an image ad creative to keep it nice and simple. I'm just going to copy as path. And again, it has access to my computer. So if I do this, it should now be able to create that creative inside the thing. And honestly, guys, after that, this is going to be proof of concept. I'm going to go too crazy on this in terms of expand this too much, because the whole idea of this is to show you how you can use different AIs to create different tools for your clients to make life easier. And not necessarily for your clients, apologies. And in my case, it's clients, but for you, it's mainly for your team members. You could potentially use it for your clients. Realistically, the whole aim of this video is to show you how you can use different AI tools to give you to your team so you can give your clients a better experience at scale. So in this case, it's looking at the targeting. It's going to ask me some key details. I'm going to give it the details and then it's going to go ahead and do that. While it's doing that, let's talk about this. Actually, Fluxomate.com is my website. Budget is going to be 20 a day. And what is the difference to ad sets? We'll do broad with interest. There you go. We'll split test it. And what's your Facebook page ID? I'll paste it into other and I'll get my page ID. You know what? I need to look it up. It's fine. It'll get it after. We'll leave it. It might get tripped up on that one where it doesn't matter. But the whole idea of this, guys, is again showing you different things. And what I was talking about before we got distracted by Claude is the 54%. So basically, Claude has a good context window. I forgot the exact values, but it's in the hundreds of thousands, but eventually run out of context, which is basically what it's showing us here. So right now, based on all the different prompts that we've had made and all the different information it has, it's used up 54% of the actual context that it has available. What's going to happen is after that 54%, it's basically going to compact everything into just a smaller markdown file, and it's going to continue running. Don't worry too much about it. It will literally do it automatically. Keep an eye on this because the more context it has, the worse the performance will kind of get. And also, you can open different folders and start working on different pages. So in this case, it's looking for my Facebook page ID. So that's the Facebook ID. So can I take a screenshot of that? Let's take a screenshot of that and just give it to the AI. I'm going to go back to anti-gravity. We're going to paste that in. This is the Facebook page. So yeah, I'm just going to let it run for a bit. I'm going to shut up. We'll come back to hopefully when the campaigns are created. I'm not going to cut anything out so you guys can see everything behind the scenes. We'll go back to Facebook and see what's done and evaluate if necessary. All right, so it looks like everything's been built. Let's go ahead and actually check it out. So again, within my ads manager, I'm going to go back over here to our general campaign view, which should be over here. Within our campaign view, I'm going to go ahead and if I can open this up, I've got my testing YouTube one here, but I'm going to reload this to make sure everything's loaded in properly because sometimes the meta can be a bit slow. So within my testing YouTube campaign, we're going to go ahead and check out the ad sets. We should have two ad sets. As it says two, nice, there you go. We have two. One broad and one interest, which is basically the split test we actually told it. If we open this up, we should see two different ads. As you can see, we have two different ads with a CCE playbook and a CCE playbook. And if we go ahead and actually open this up, let's see if it's actually also is added our creative from my folders. And if we scroll down, it's got my relevant URL link, which whatever is not correct, but doesn't matter. It doesn't look like it added any copy, which is not the best thing in the world, but obviously I can just prompt it and add it to, or get it to add a different copy, whatever else it may be. Got primary text over here. I just missed that one. And it's got a headline, which is awesome, and a call to action. Guys, we basically created a media buyer. I mean, I don't know what else we have to add in here to kind of prove you how easy it is to actually create these stores. I literally maybe added, how many prompts did we actually add? Let's actually count. We added the initial research prompt. Then we confirmed everything by adding the keys, which is probably the most time consuming part. But within 3 prompts or 2 prompts, you're basically able to create something that can now aid your media buyers to create campaigns. And obviously in this video, we didn't save time. We have something to create 2 ads. I could have done that in 5 minutes. But now imagine if I had to create 20 ads a day. Imagine I had to create 100 ads a day. All I have to do now is give it just a bunch of different ad sets and a bunch of different interest targeting or different files, and it'll go ahead and actually automatically create it for me. So it makes it so much easier for me to actually manage the ads. This is on top of different things like, for example, asking it, hey, what's been my ad spend for the past 7 days? What's been the best performing campaigns? Different things like this. You can hook it up with so many different things. The whole idea I wanted to show you guys is how you can build these internal tools for your agency to make life a bit easier. So I hope this has been helpful. If you want more examples going over specific things that you can set up within Antigravity using Claude Code for your agency, like we've done for other agency owners from all over the world, doing all the way up to 300K a month, then let me know. We're building some really, really cool stuff with this. And I hope the custom code didn't intimidate you guys too much, because as you can see, I did not code anything. Maybe the only thing I did is attach the environmental file where I add my API keys. But apart from that, I did not touch anything else. So I hope this kind of gives you some inspiration to build different tools like this in your agency, so you can have different tools for your team members to give your clients a better experience and just speed up your fulfillment process so you can do more for the same input, get a greater output for the same input, which is what I'll talk about in majority of my videos now, as this is where I think AI is kind of going towards. I don't necessarily think it's about replacing different team members. I don't necessarily think it's about firing anyone. I think it's just getting greater output for the same input. So for example, let's say you have a team of 5 people and previously you could only service, I don't know, 30 people. Now you can probably service 100 different people if you set up the right tools for your different team members. But that only works if you have the right things to focus on. So check out this video going over how AI has actually changed the game for fulfillment and how to actually find out what you should focus on within your fulfillment process. Apart from that, guys, if any of this was interesting and you're a lead gen agency owner who wants my help decreasing the churn rate in your agency by implementing different tools like this to give your clients a better experience at scale, then check out the link somewhere in the description. If you want access to this anti-gravity folder, wherever else it may be, then it'll be somewhere in school. It's a free school group. We share all different resources there. To be honest though, I wouldn't even recommend copying this into your anti-gravity. Like, I would recommend prompting it and building it out for yourself, so you could be in a much better place. But I'll upload that anyways in case you want to check it out. And don't try stealing my API keys, because I'm literally about to go ahead and delete them now before I forget. Guys, I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions about anything whatsoever, leave a comment. And the last thing I want to say, and this is actually very important, is that what I'm showing you today is by no means advanced. I mean, guys, what I actually did was 3 prompts. I used 3 prompts to actually create this. There's so many different things you can do here to make this better. Obviously, when it comes to security as well, make it a bit more secure. In this case, it just lives within my terminal, so I'm not too worried about that specifically. But you need to be careful with that stuff. The main thing I'm trying to say is that this is by no means advanced, and this is literally the simplest version of the system will ever be. I didn't even add my own input based on everything we've seen working with different clients. I just let Claude do his thing. So take this with a pinch of salt. I would recommend you not to copy this directly, but to actually make it better. All this was to just give you a bit of proof of concept of how you can actually use Claude Code to create a media buyer for your agency, basically. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, whatever, leave them in the comments. And yeah, if you're an established agency owner who wants a bit more help with the backend systems, then check out the links in the description, because this is all we do. All right. Hopefully this video is nudged you slightly. Guys, look after yourselves, implement Claude Code, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Bye bye.